Dobrý večer ze zákulisí Janáčkova divadla. Vítám vás na našem zadním jevišti. Právě skončilo první jednání Dvořákova Jakobína.
Dvořák's Jacobin is just over. This is the first premiere of this season, which will be dedicated to Czech composers, because this is the beginning of the year of Czech music. Now, allow me to welcome our first guests, Pavla Vykopalová, Julie, and Roman Hoza, who is singing Bohuš. Good evening. So how is it going?
Myslím, že dobře.
I think it's okay. It's fine.
To vlastně máte strašně těžké,
For you it must be difficult because you are the very first people who enter the stage when the curtain is open, and you launch the atmosphere by singing that you are returning home. What is the feeling? Is it a huge responsibility? Well, there's always someone who must be first and do the first step, but we really do feel the festive atmosphere or the premiere, and we were really looking forward. Of course, that's a bit of a pressure. It's a premiere, it's a live broadcast, but I'm very happy to be first on the stage, especially with Pavla, because we can support each other. So we are expecting the year of Czech music. There is a Smetana anniversary, Janáček's anniversary, and the Dvořák's anniversary. Is Dvořák close to your heart? Well, I see that you know me well, Patricie, because I really do love Dvořák. It is very close to my heart, and I'm very pleased that this opera is broadcasted into the world, because internationally it's rather Rusalka who is famous, and I'm very happy that another opera by Dvořák will be publicized. Well, Pavla is famous in Janáček's role, so I understand that she's made a mistake mentioning Janáček instead of Dvořák. Well, do not mention Janáček, but this is Janáček Theatre, so it's always in our heads.
Ale my jsme si říkali s Pavlou,
But
že když tady takhle velebíme Dvořáka, tak nesmíme nevzpomenout taky na svatební košile.
We also have to remember the wedding shirts. It's our preferred pieces.
Připomínáte mi to pravidelně a mám to napsané
you
na
remember
seznamu,
that to me. It's on my list. Don't worry. Antonín Dvořák was, or the librettist Marie Červinková was a little bit enigmatic about the details of your figures. Bohuš speaks of himself somehow in the beginning, but Julie is completely mysterious. Can you introduce your figures?
Tak já začnu s touto odpovědí,
I can
protože
answer
si myslím, že v tom mém případě
be the
je to
first to answer.
jednoznačnější.
It's easier in my
Když to
case.
zjednoduším, tak je to prostě emigrant,
If I put it simply, it's an emigre that is being labeled by everybody because they do not know him, and he is coming from abroad, from a foreign country. And I think this is something which is up to date in the present as well. Not to label people at first sight. Well, me, I'm really respectful before Julie. She's a very strong woman. She loves her husband, and she is strongly standing next to him. In fact, she saves him twice. First time before death, and the second time she is the one who persuades his father to reconcile with his son. Your brother Tadeáš is playing your cousin Adolf, the main bad role. How do you feel about this? Well, the bad character is always more amusing. But I love Bohuš because he's not the simply positive character. Of course, he's positive. He's an artist, but he's not so simple like the lover. He doesn't have too much space in the opera. It's definitely not boring. I have to admit that the bad characters are often more exciting for playing, but I can say that I enjoy playing this absolutely positive character. Julie, what are you looking forward to in the next two acts? What do you recommend to the spectators? Well, I love in the third act the lullaby that saves it all, that touches the heart of the old father. Oh, okay, this is the same with me. Thank you very much. Go and have a rest before Act 2 begins and break a leg. Have a beautiful night.
A já už mezi námi vítám našeho pana dirigenta.
Allow me to welcome the conductor, Jakub Klecker, and the music director, and the conductor tonight. Good evening. So, how is it going? I hope that everybody enjoys it all over the world. We are very grateful through the intermediary of the Czech television broadcast all over the world, and I am pretty sure that the audience here is enjoying it as well. Roman and Pavla agreed that Dvořák is close to their heart. What about you? Were you pleased that you can do Jacobin? Well, every time I get the offer to do a Czech opera, I'm very happy because it's closest to my heart. But Jacobin is with me since I was a boy. Although I didn't sing in the children's chorus, I really love the chorus scenes, and I really enjoy every final of every act. The opera is a big apparatus. There's the orchestra, the chorus, the children's chorus, the soloists. In Jacobin, it's about 150 people. Can you really conduct all this? Do you have a moment to really enjoy the music? Well, I do enjoy every tact, and I'm very grateful to see that there are more intimate passages like arias and duettos, and the quick ensembles that we have intentionally left open. They are often omitted, but we were not scared to leave them in the performance. I think they produce some lightness to the material. Are there any tricks that Dvořák has prepared in his score? Well, there are many of them, because actually there were two versions. Today only version 2 is being performed. And many things like rhythm, intonation, they are disputable, so we have to work carefully with the score and prepare beforehand the individual parts. And of course it's not very easy that Dvořák, as a symphonic composer, works with the full orchestra, and you have to take care of the singers. They have to be heard. Yes, that's right. Dvořák is often very dynamic, and he has to be like a little bit silenced. The orchestra must be a support for the singers, but it can't take over the singers. So this is another very important point. So we have 2 more acts to go. I believe that, like in the past broadcasts, we are followed by people all over the world who mostly do not know Jacobin very well. What would you recommend as a very specific moment to come? Well, I would really stop again in the chorus scenes. We have the second and third acts to go, and what I like is the huge school scene with the opera chorus, the children chorus, and the soloists, all headed by teacher Benda, and of course the very famous and impressive, intimate aria and duet We've Wandered All Over the World in the Foreign Lands, which finally, in the end, is repeated by Jiří and Terinka. They are very touched. Thank you. I will let you have a break before the next act, because I can see our next very, very precious guest.
Dobrý večer, já zde vítám pana Pančíka, našeho dlouholetého sbormistra, který
the chorus master of Janáček Theatre, who led the chorus for over 50 years. And as he's celebrating a beautiful life anniversary this autumn, this premiere is a gift from us to him. And I'm really, really happy that I can say happy birthday. I have to confess, you always were a huge inspiration in your work in the theatre, and I'm very happy to see you on stage. But during your long career, we have had several stagings of Jacobin. Can you count how many times have you seen this opera? Well, I probably will deceive you. You can expect a huge number, but the entire piece of Jacobin, I probably saw it 10 times, 5 maybe even. Why? Because the chorus is singing behind the scenes several times, and I had to conduct this as a chorus master. Then I ran to among the audience to have a quick look, but then I had to run back again. So these are my experiences. So I mostly enjoyed the scenes without the chorus. Do you have some special memories connected to Jacobin? Maybe not as a chorus master? Yes, always when I remember Jacobin, before I began studying Jacobin, when I started working in Janáček Opera, it once happened that the organ player fell ill in the last moment, and someone remembered that I was studying organ play, and they asked me to play. So I did it, and I found it quite difficult. It's 3 minutes of music, a few tacts, but it's so difficult. It's modulations, chromatography, so it was really complicated. I had only a couple of minutes, but I was quite nervous about it, so it's not a very, very nice memory for me. Well, probably I will think of you when I hear the organ in Jacobin. Do chorus masters love Dvořák because the chorus is very present in his opera? I think they do, and everybody comes to it when they get to know the work. Dvořák is magnificent, it's wonderful. There are choruses a cappella, and choruses in the operas. It's very dynamic, beautiful music. There are huge scenes with choruses in Dimitri, for instance. This is another very beautiful opera. And of course I shouldn't forget the big works, the oratories. St. Ludmila, Requiem, wedding shirts. We had the pleasure to do all these pieces with our chorus, and I really do have wonderful memories. Well, I can remember some of them myself, so enjoy the rest of this evening. Thank you very much. And now I'm welcoming the director of today's performance, and director of the National Theatre Brno. So, how is it from among the audience? Well, I'm pleased, and the reactions of the audience are really wonderful. Everybody is enthusiastic about it. So hopefully it's going to be like this in the 2 acts to come. You already told me that when you had to decide whether to direct Jacobin or not, the first impulse was not the story but the music. Can you tell us what appealed to you, what made you do Jacobin? Well, for me, as a director who's doing drama first, even in the opera, the story, the characters, the situations are always very important. But I was quite shocked because I decided for Jacobin because of the music. I was listening to the music. I saw a performance long ago, but I didn't remember it that well, but this time I was really enchanted. I was caught. After half an hour, I started to cry, and I really knew that I would love to bring such beautiful music to the stage. Of course, then I had to deal with the subject matter, with the story, and whether I have a right to do it for the viewers in 2023. Sometimes there is an impression that the story is not the most important in the opera. For me, it's like 50-50 between the story and the music. What about Jacobin and the story? What did it offer to you? Well, I think it must go hand in hand. If the music was beautiful and the story was silly, we can do concertos. But here, as I was entering it, I just realized that there are many stories, there are several lines, every character has their own story, and the characters carry what I had the impression was in the music, a meditation about being Czechs, about the Czech landscape, how we are as a nation. The story is very Czech, how we behave in some key situations. And all this makes a picture of how we are as people, as a nation. And during rehearsals, it showed up that we are able to find parallels to most of the situations in the present without difficulties. And I think this is one of the reasons that I have the impression that everybody, the soloists and the chorus, love to sing this. You mentioned Czech landscape. Is it somehow reflected on the stage? Yes, of course. The Czech landscape is reflected by what we do not have. That means we do not have huge mountains, we do not have the sea, but we have a kind, beautiful, nice landscape. It's the music says or mediates what you can feel when you wander through the Czech landscape. It's like you can have it in your head when you're wandering over the Czech landscape. So the topic of Czech landscape, the Czech scene, that was the commission for stage designer Pavel Dvořák, and he came with these waving hills, the slightly undulated landscape, and we have found parallels in Czech culture of people who were there before us. Josef Lada, who made naive pictures, who is very popular in the Czech Republic, or my generation was formed by fairy tales with a figure called Krakonoš, and there were these undulating hills, and the huge Krakonoš was the king of the mountains, and he was very huge over the very small hills. So this is something we loved when we were kids. So this is what we got into the stage. When rehearsing, we wanted to have a picture of all the regions of the country. Jacobin is an opera. Although Dvořák was looking for a subject for an international opera, he finally decided to write Jacobin for his own pleasure. Tonight we are followed by viewers from all over the world. When you were preparing the opera, did you think of the international audience? Well, I'm sorry to say, but I was rather thinking of people of my generation, of Czech people, who have an ambivalent relation to Czech classical music because of the education they had. But if this is successful with the Czech audience, I believe there is a good chance that it will work worldwide. The backdrop curtain has fallen beneath us, so everything is ready on stage, and break a leg for the next two acts. Bye-bye.